Hi everyone, in today's video we're going to talk about 8 strategies for dealing with insurance companies. Coming up. Hi everyone, this is Ernesto, and on this channel we give you health and wealth tips to help you be more successful. Now in today's video, I'm going to give you 8 strategies on how best to deal with insurance companies. Now, I just had a fire in this huge house and I'm just daily talking to dozens of different people. Contractors, adjusters, abatement companies, testing companies, yada yada yada. It's a lot of work, it takes a lot of time, and I decided I wanted to put all this information on YouTube so I could help someone with their insurance claim. As I was researching, I found very little information on this, and I know that this would really help someone because this is not the first time I've been through a fire and not the first time I've had to deal with insurance companies. I've dealt with them quite a bit. Now, the first thing you want to try to figure out is ask your insurance adjuster what the reserve amount is on your claim. The reserve amount is the amount of money they're anticipating your claim is going to be worth, how much they're going to have to pay you. That's the same for house fires, liability claims, car accidents, you name it. The insurance company may look at something like this, I just found this lamp, and say, hey, this is worth $5. But you got to let them know, hey, this is worth $100. This was an antique lamp. And they'll never be able to tell you because it's burned. There's nothing left. This used to have a shade on it. It used to have a bulb, a cord, everything. As you can see, there's nothing left. It's totally burned. So you're going to have to help your insurance company along to try to come up with that reserve amount. I know for my mom's house, when we had a fire there, they offered us $50,000. That was their reserve amount. By the time we were all done negotiating and we settled everything, the claim ended up being $350,000. It was a huge difference. They were giving me lowball estimates on a lot of the items that were destroyed in my mom's house. So it's important that you ask what the reserve amount. Now 90% of the time, the adjuster is not going to tell you what the reserve amount is. You're going to have to figure it out as you go along. But you definitely want to try to get that number as soon as you can, because it kind of gives you a starting point from where to work up from. Now item number 2. If your insurance adjuster does give you the reserve amount and it's much lower than you thought, that doesn't mean that your case is not worth very much. That's just what that adjuster thinks. Remember, this is a very subjective topic. I'm going to share a story with you. I was at a Carl's Jr. buying a hamburger like 20 years ago, and I was ordering my food, minding my own business, and all of a sudden I see some guy walking up to my window totally upset, and he punched me in the face. And he actually kicked in my door and he ran off. It was the most random thing. And I made a complaint against the Carl's Jr.'s insurance company, and apparently what happened was the girl at the drive-thru was the girlfriend to the guy that I guess was waiting for out in the parking lot. I hadn't really even paid attention to the girl. I was actually talking to my friend in the car, and he was making me laugh. And apparently from the distance, the guy thought I was laughing at his girlfriend or something. So he came over and punched me in the face. Now I called the insurance company and I filed a claim because the guy kicked in and dented my door, and I didn't think that was cool. They came up to me, told me they would give me $100. I said, $100? What about the guy punching me? And what about like the damage? That $100 did not cover the damage of the car. So they basically would not return my phone calls. They wouldn't talk to me. They weren't being very cooperative. I was trying everything I could to just work with them, get my car fixed and get it over with. I didn't care about getting punched in the face. It really didn't hurt me that much anyway. But at the end of the day, they wouldn't do anything. So I had to call an attorney and I just gave it to him. After he was done, he got me $15,000 instead of $100. Now, I really didn't want to go that route, but they didn't give me an option. So remember, just because the insurance adjuster quotes you a low number, that doesn't mean that your claim is worth around that number. It could still be a lot more. Item number 3, You want to check and see if the person has other types of insurance. Let's just say you get in a car accident and you're on a university campus. If you sustain a serious injury, sure, the car insurance would cover you, but the insurance for that parking lot or the parking lot attendant company or the security company or all these other kind of like sheets of insurance may come into play. So whatever situation you're in, you want to research and find out if there's other forms of insurance that may be involved in your case. That could help you settle your case and possibly get a higher settlement amount. Strategy number 4. Remember, your insurance adjuster or your insurance company is never going to tell you to go to the hospital. Now, I'm not saying to fake it. I know when I went to chiropractic school, a lot of my friends in there were telling me that they were getting rich because they said that their uncles, their fathers, their mothers, whatever, were having people come in for visits even though they didn't even need it every time they got into a car accident. I'm not talking about all that shady stuff. I'm talking about if you have some type of accident and you really get hurt. You know, a lot of times, like when I get hurt, I'll just stay home and tough it out and I'll lay in bed for a few days. And normally things will just work itself out. And that's actually the case for most people. Things will just kind of work themselves out for the most part. But if you feel like you're really hurt, you should definitely go to the ER or go to urgent care or something like that and get checked out. The more time that you spend getting medical attention, oftentimes that helps boost the value of your claim. Now, insurance companies and adjusters have ways of weeding out fakers. So don't fake it, because then that also works against you. But you do want to definitely seek medical care if you need it. I'll give you an example. My friend John was riding his bicycle through downtown LA, and a lady cut him off with her car, even though he was in the bike lane, and caused him to fall on the sidewalk, and he caught himself with his hand and he damaged his wrist. Now, he was really sore and he could have just stayed home for a few days, put a brace on it, and it would have been fine. But he decided to go to the hospital because he was worried he might have a fracture. And if that were the case, he wanted to make sure he got a cast and he got proper medical care. So later on down the line in his lawsuit against the lady, because she just packed up and left, he told her, hey, you know, I'm calling the ambulance. I just want to make sure everything's cool. Let me have your insurance, etc. And she was like, I'm not going to have anything to do with this. This is not my fault. And she just packed up and left. Never leave the site of an accident. If you get in some type of a car accident or you may have hurt someone, that's a felony. So this woman ended up getting a felony on her record. I don't know what happened to her. She ended up going to jail or what. But she got a lot of trouble for that because all he had to do was videotape her saying that and her license plate. So she got in big trouble for not cooperating. And it's also against the law. You have to stay on scene if there's an accident and the person's requesting it and there's an ambulance or police or anything like that coming. So just stay there, make sure that things are cool before you leave. So because he went to the hospital, that ended up boosting the amount of his claim by like 4 or 5 times. Apparently it was 5 times more because he went to the hospital. Now, his intentions were not to try to get more money out of his claim, but unfortunately that's the way it works. Insurance claims are often calculated on the amount of suffering or pain or injuries or loss of work or things like that you suffer. So they're things that are typically intangible. You can't really measure the amount of pain or the amount of suffering you go through, but the courts have their way of figuring that out along with the attorneys. And when you go to the hospital, it just demonstrates to the adjusters, the insurance company, the courts, that you really did suffer. So that's going to help boost your claim. Strategy number 5. Sometimes you're going to talk to the insurance company or to the adjuster, and they're going to tell you you have no claim and you're way out of your mind. There's nothing they can do for you and your claim is basically worth 0. Okay, that may be the case sometimes, but not always. It's good to keep exploring. That happened to one of my patients that told me they got in a car accident, they went to the hospital, they went to the insurance company, yada, and nothing. They were offered nothing. They said it was their fault, etc. They got an attorney involved and ended up working out that person got $80,000. So remember, insurance companies and adjusters represent a company, and they want to not lose money as much as possible. So they don't want to be paying out claims like candy. So they try to avoid that as much as possible. So just because they tell you you don't have a case doesn't mean you do not have a case. You may still have a case. Strategy number 6. Unfortunately, in the United States, suing may be your only option. I was reading that something like 90% of the lawsuits in the world are filed in the United States, and more than half of those are filed in California. Now that's nothing to be proud of, but it's a reality. So you kind of have to learn to work within that system. Sometimes people, insurance companies, adjusters are just conditioned to that. And that's the only way they'll work with you, is if you sue them. Sometimes just with the threat of being sued, the other party or their insurance company or their attorney will come and settle with you, because they have to start figuring in court costs. And attorneys are expensive. So insurance companies try to avoid that. They say, hey, you know what? We go to trial these people, and even if we win, we're going to spend 30 grand on going to court for the next few months. Why don't we just offer this guy 20 grand or 25 grand? Be done with this, and we'll save 5 grand no matter what. And we save ourselves the risk of having to pay 100 or 200,000 or whatever the case might be. So oftentimes, it's an economic decision, not necessarily a decision about who's right or wrong. You may be totally right, but they might just decide that it's or wrong. They might just decide it's in their best interest to just pay you to go away. And oftentimes, that may be your best option also, because it's kind of like a lottery ticket. Going to court is a crapshoot. You don't know if the jury's going to be on the side. You don't know if the court is going to be on your side. You don't know what can happen. There's too many intangibles. So as long as they're willing to work with you and reach a settlement, it's best to settle. Something like 90% of lawsuits are settled anyway. So it's best to settle whenever you can. Strategy number 7. Don't expect the insurance company to help you with your case. You may have gotten in a car accident with someone, for example, and that person may have been on their cell phone, which would mean that they were totally at fault for the car accident. But the other insurance company is not going to tell you that. They're not going to make it easy for you. They may start arguing with you as if they were the innocent party. So you're going to have to do some research and investigate on your own if there's information that can help your case. Sometimes you can simply go read the police report. And the police report or the fire report or the doctor's reports or whatever reports you might have might say, hey, the patient was on their cell phone, or the person was on their cell phone, etc. That is really important information, and there could be other tidbits of information that are important in your particular case. I know recently I had a house fire, and the tenants right away were saying, hey, there was a gas leak, the fire alarms were not ringing, etc. And I thought, well, I don't know, I wasn't there. But sure enough, I read the fire report and it had all the information. The fire department was very meticulous. As soon as the people ran out of the house, they asked them, what woke you up? The fire alarms. Are you okay? Yes, I'm absolutely fine. Did anybody get hurt? No. What started the fire? Oh, I left the candle lit. It was all in there. The next day, the tenants tried to refute all of that. They said, oh, that wasn't true. I never said that. It's too late. Why is the fire department going to make that up? So make sure you investigate for extra information that could be useful to your claim. Never give recorded statements. Now, if it's your insurance company, they may require you to give a recorded statement. You may not have any way around that. But if it's someone else's insurance company, they might tell you you have to, but you absolutely do not have to, because you don't owe them anything. They're not contracted by you. So they don't have any rights over you. Do not allow them to get a recorded statement from you. You could say something that could work against you and could totally cause your case to be thrown out in court, or your case to get a much lower settlement amount. You're not an attorney, so don't talk to them. Don't stick your foot in your mouth. Let your attorney speak for yourself if you end up having to go to litigation. But don't give recorded statements. That works against you. Thank you for listening. And if you have any additional questions, please comment below. Thank you.